All right, Denise, we are live. Good day and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another Live the Fuel show. So I am bringing on a new guest co-host because we do this all the time. I'm just never going to run out of meeting people. This is just so much fun. This is why I love podcasting. But listen, let's dig into it, okay? She has helped over 1 million people. That's right, 1 million people find their purpose and fulfill on their God-given destiny. I love that statement. She started her career by working with families at a local mental health agency as a clinical psychologist. And for those of you who subscribe to this show, you know how much I love psychology. And she has continued on to use her talents with It Works Global to build a large team of motivated, positive, and enthusiastic business owners. So she's an author. She's about to become another like round 2 author, round 3 author. I don't even know. We're gonna catch up on that today too. But she's also well connected with a powerful influencer, Jack Canfield. We're gonna have fun with that as well because I've met him before. But without further ado, let's bring her on the show. Welcome, Denise Walsh.
Hey, Scott. Hey, everyone.
So I'm loving this because, yes, I had to name drop the man, Jack Canfield. Yeah. I got to see him. You ever hear of Thrive, Make Money Matter?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, so I've gone to that every year the past couple of years, and he was there for that. And the guy just never ceases to amaze. He's been doing it a long time.
He has. He's a staple in the industry, that's for sure.
Well, and how long so part of your background is obviously you became one of his certified trainers, correct? Mm-hmm. So how long have you been a certified trainer with the Canfield camp?
For a few years now. I've been an entrepreneur for 12. And we kind of hit the top of our company and I said, what's next? And Jack Canfield entered my email.
Okay.
So
and then it was Maxwell? Because like you're also hooked up with John Maxwell too.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we did that this past January.
Talk about surrounding yourself with powerful influencers.
Well, that's the name of the game, right? You have to keep leveling up.
So I hear. I mean, it's a thing.
It is. Everyone says it. It's true.
People talk about it. They host events, like Thrive. Mm-hmm. And, people have webinars, they have podcasts, all of this wonderful stuff that you and I are doing today. It's like, hey, who else can we influence? Who else can we gain influence from? Mm-hmm.
And we all know they say you're like the 5 people you hang around. And so why not have it be Jack Canfield and John Maxwell?
I'd be all right with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I purposely pay to go to events that those guys speak at. So clearly that's a win.
I've read almost all of their books, I feel like. And so when you get to meet them in person, you feel like you already know them. You're kind of already in their head. So it was really kind of cool to experience them live and actually get to have conversations and realize like they're just people, right? Who have a vision and work hard, just like we do.
They put on their pants one leg at a time. What's that saying? Just like everybody else?
Just like everybody else.
I mean, who knows?
They just know what they want.
Maybe they have a robot that helps with that. I don't know.
Maybe they outsource that.
Yeah. Could you go ahead and just help me with that whole pants process? That'd be great. Seriously, if you can't put your own pants on, unless you have a health-related issue, then there's something wrong. So, was it their influence that got you into? I'm diving right in here.
Yeah, go ahead.
You're fueling the fire. So you did the book thing. Mm-hmm. I'm excited by this because literally the show I just got done recording with another guest co-host. She's also an author, and I'm currently according to her, I am an author because I've been published in a magazine 4 times now. So she's like, Scott, you actually already are an author. You just haven't wrote your book yet. But as I'm talking to you right now, I've already completed the first 25,000 words. So I might be done. I don't know. It might be time for editing.
That's exciting.
Yes. So that's a pain in the butt, by the way. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So I've been doing this type of work for over a decade, and I was like, how do I reach more people with less of my time, right? Because now I'm a mom, I've got a 7-year-old, a 4-year-old. I want to go on field trips. I want to do life, but I still want to make an impact. And so that's where I thought, all right, podcast. So I have a podcast as well. Mm-hmm. And then the journal and the workbook are
and the journal's coming. That's what I kind of hinted at.
Yeah.
Right? And you already have out How to Retire Your Husband.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when did that come out again? That was
a few years ago. I feel like it was 2013.
Yeah.
That was our journey through entrepreneurship, kind of going from an employee mindset to entrepreneur mindset.
And that there is, we talk a lot about mindset on this show too. Again, that's why I was excited to bring you on. Once I found out about you, I was like, ooh, psychology.
Yeah.
Because we talk a lot about how ways to fuel your health, your business, your lifestyle. And across all three of those domains, your mindset is a part of all of that. I mean, I have a regular sports psychologist I bring on every month. Shout out to Dr. Megan Cannon, because she's got the sports mindset. And I love tying that to business as well. I mean, is that, so you having the psych background though,
Mm-hmm.
was that a key kind of like, oh man, that's going to be massive to me to document because of you switching from the employee to the entrepreneurial mindset? So you yourself had to go through the mental shift.
I did have to go through that. I mean, my first job as a clinical psychologist was at a local community mental health, where I was underpaid, overworked, burnt out, working for the government. It was not living the dream.
Yeah. I mean,
so
the government thing's nice.
I didn't know if I could do this or not. So I still had to grow. I still had to like have that identity shift of going from an employee, tell me what to do and I'll do it, to being an entrepreneur, having a vision and working towards it, and, you know, being flexible along the way, but being a finisher throughout. And I didn't know if I could do that when I first started our business. And so as I grew into that role, yeah. And then I got to teach other people how to do it too. And that's where the book
fun
came.
phase.
Yeah. Because I was like, oh my gosh, this works. Everybody can do this. And so
like, it's scary, but it's like when you realize you finally pull that trigger, it's not, you can't keep acquiring knowledge and acquiring knowledge and acquiring knowledge and never sharing it. And
I wanted to shout it from the rooftops, you know?
Yeah. And that's the fun of teaching, is that I truly believe that everybody can teach something, because we all know if I walked into a room right now, I already know 60% more about at least one thing than 60% of the people in the room. Mm-hmm. So talk about it, mm-hmm. share it. Right. Mm-hmm. So now when you guys clicked, I gotta ask this, because I love domain names and everything. So clearly your brand is your name, denisewalsh.com.
Yeah.
And actually, let's go ahead and pop up a little screen sharing, because you have your dream life action planner as soon as you come to your site. Mm-hmm. So when did you buy the name? When did you get a clue about owning your name online?
Well, we've had several personas throughout our journey, and we realized your name doesn't change. So we really needed, like, we had taglines, and all of that has kind of changed, evolved as our business grew, as we changed, as times changed. And so our name doesn't change. So we really wanted to just brand the name, right?
Okay. Well, and that's why I love that, because I tell people all the time from a branding perspective is, listen, if you've got a great brand concept and your name isn't really well known, then you've got a choice. You got a fork in the road. You can grow the brand. That is whatever you've created. Like me, I have Live the Fuel. So you grow the brand and your name goes along with it. Or you know what? You're just going to dig in deep on the name recognition. Maybe you got some public exposure and you could just keep growing the name. Like my one big client, it's all about his name. That's the way it's always been. But it's interesting how people choose these paths. But it's interesting, to your point, great, we grew these different taglines, we grew these different brands. And now it's like, well, who's always been there at the core of it? It's your name. Mm-hmm. So as I start increasing my public speaking, I'm eventually, scottmulvaney.com just goes to livethefuel.com, because I haven't felt the need to split it, into its own brand site yet.
Right.
So yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. We had Original Rap Girl. I'm
sorry, what?
Original Rap Girl, WRAP is for our rap company.
Okay. I'm like, wait, hold on. There's some rapping in here? What's going on?
We've had a lot of different things throughout the years. I mean, we've been in the business for 12 years and a lot of things have changed. But that's why when I started creating more products, we were like, I need to stick with my name, because the product can branch out.
True. That's true. And yes, and as you've already hinted, you got a journal coming out soon. So that counts as another book, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, John Lee Dumas, he's released journals, right?
Yeah.
So,
hey.
I got them both on the bookshelf back there. So I don't use them though, but I don't know if you ever bought his journals or not.
Not yet.
Okay. Yeah. You in the podcast world though, you're definitely familiar with John Lee Dumas. So
yeah.
But he crushed it with his crowdfunding when he launched. I've never seen anybody launch a book so successfully on Kickstarter. I think he was the third most successful book launch ever done on a Kickstarter.
Interesting. I'll have to research that.
Oh yeah, think about it. Yeah, it's the one is the Mastery Journal. Where's the other one? Oh, yeah. So his first one was the Freedom Journal.
Okay.
That one crushed it. And then he released the Mastery Journal. So once you've documented your freedom goals and you've journaled your way to what you're talking about, then you master the process and you start building and growing a successful business beyond that. So he decided to launch them as journals. So, yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. I feel like so many of us know what to do, but we don't create the space to actually do it, which is why I mean, that's a psychologist in me. I'm not just going to be like, do this later, because nobody does.
No.
So I'm going to do this now, write it now. I've got a live event in January. It's all workshop stuff.
Boom.
Because I'm like, I want to see transformation today. We're going to make you cry today. We're going to make you feel. We're going to make you work. We're going to make you go through it now, because that's why we're here, is for change. And so that's part of why it's a journal, is so we can create the space for you to do the work like now.
So with the action planner, your Dream Life Action Planner on the website, that's your free giveaway, marketing. It gets people on your email list. But would you say that's kind of like a key stepping stone before it gets released? That was kind of like one of your necessary building blocks?
Well, my husband's our digital marketer in the family, and he says, what's the most important thing? And so the most important thing, like the question I get the most as a trainer, coach, leader is, what do I do? Tell me what to do and I'll do it. What do I do? I don't know how. That's what they tell me. When I don't know that that's the correct answer, or the correct question to ask, but we'll get to that later. Yeah. So I created the Dream Life Action Planner to help answer the most the biggest question I get, which is, what do I do? I don't have time. I want change, but I don't know how to do it. So the action planner is basically your time management tool, where you take everything, you give it a spot. It's the 80-20 rule. It's outsourcing. It's all of like, who am I going to ask for help? We can't do everything ourselves. So it's really anytime I have a new goal, this is this process I go through to give it a schedule, like a time on my schedule, so I actually make progress. And that's the skill that I'm teaching with the action planner.
Well, so I got to dig into the psych. So the biggest thing that I coach people on too, and I've got a lot of athletic background. I've been a USSA ski race coach over the years. And then I'm also a CrossFit coach in my free time. I don't really hold a normal schedule because I just don't have time. But like I coached a class yesterday for my buddy because it was his birthday weekend. I love coaching. I was a business coach in the corporate world. But the biggest thing I've learned with action taking is, if you've not sat down and taken the time to at least answer the why, right? Like, okay, maybe I don't know the exact business name yet, product name yet, anything else, but why do you want to possibly go down this road? If you have put together the why, that's so powerful that it just makes your stomach hurt. I don't know. That's just me when I think about it. It's like, oh, that's good. Now it's easy to then go download an action planner and then start taking the necessary steps that maybe your planner helps people do. But what do you think about this whole why concept?
So personal vision, like I feel like I'm a clarity queen. Like that's my thing.
Clarity queen.
I want to help people create their own personal vision, because when you see yourself 3 steps ahead of where you are, like, the how figures itself out. You make time because you know what you want and you know why it's like not just an idea. It's like in your gut and in your soul. So the clarity of what do I want? Why do I want it? What do I want my life to look like? All of those questions.
Yeah. The who, what, why,
Exactly. It just fuels you, right? Just like it fuels you, keeps you fueled. So then you really are willing to climb the mountain to make it happen, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And like you mentioned, writing a book is not easy, but when you're fueled, you become a finisher. Like there's no other option.
But it's funny because I'm such a health and fitness nut. That's why health is part of our target of this audience, is because I tell people all the time, like, if your health is in the crapper, how do you expect to write the book, start a company? Like, your healthy lifestyle is a huge component of this. But for me, I've been talking about possibly writing a book for 2 years, from my backstory of when I went from the corporate life to being, a federal wildland firefighter out west, and then back again. And then, so it's like just sharing some of the mental game and the shifts and the things I learned. I wanted to document that. But it didn't really click until actually I started doing these Thrive, Make Money, Matter events every year. And then I hard-coded last year a for-purpose concept into my business. So now there's a percentage of all income goes into a special account. So I started putting in the steps, right? Defining the why more. And then I realized, wait a minute, if I write the book, well, then I truly have to put my story out there. But what's going to get me to write the book? Well, then I said, wait, what if I make the book a for-purpose book? So I've decided that 50% of all the proceeds are going to go to fallen firefighter organizations. I haven't figured that part out yet. I will. But okay, once that happened, then it's like, okay, everything starts flowing. Like I'm fueling the fire.
Yeah.
And then for me, it's like committing to an event. Like you said, you're going to be speaking at an event in January.
Yep.
I tell people all the time, you cannot beat the power of immersion at an event, like John Maxwell events, or it doesn't matter. It's just go to an event. So same thing where it's like, well, okay, well, I decided to not just necessarily go to a physical event, but I immersed myself into a mastermind program for self-publishing. So I had to pony up, $3-4 grand to buy into this. But now, okay, I've spent the money. So there I removed one more roadblock. It's like, Scott, you just dropped a boatload of coin. You're in a 90-day aggressive game plan in this program. So it's put up or shut up. So I'm just giving you some of the examples of the fuel that I've done in the past few months, because now in the past literally 2 months, I've already completed 25,000 words. Yeah. So, okay.
It's like, put it on the calendar and then figure it out.
Yeah. Well, and then I kept using the excuses. I don't have the time to write your website, but I don't have the time.
Right.
So then it's like, okay, hack. You'll appreciate this. I'm a podcaster. My fiance says I talk too much. So it's like, great. I have the gift of gab. So I said, well, why do I have to write the book? Why can't I speak the book?
Ooh.
So then I find I'm a viral listener of podcasts. I'm not just a podcaster. I'm listening to a podcast a couple months ago. Someone brings up the Otter, like the animal, OTTER.ai app. They give you 600 free minutes of recording time per month, and the app will transcribe your recordings into text.
Oh, yeah. Barrier gone.
Hello. So that's how I've written 25,000 words is awesome. I'll be driving for a business trip, like tomorrow I'm going to head up to Albany, New York for some business meetings. I got like a 3-hour drive.
Yeah.
Bluetooth through the iPhone, running the app in the background. I'm just driving down the road, talking away.
Yeah. That's awesome. I mean, that's the thing, is that so many times we give ourselves these barriers that aren't even really that true. And there's always a way to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I learned
what you just said there.
Go ahead.
We got to pause on that.
Yeah.
There's always a way to figure it out.
There is.
That's a mindset piece, though, that not everybody hearing this has that yet. You got to dig into that.
Well, what I've learned, right, is that there's a myriad of options. And I think so many times we believe that we're fixed or stuck, or like we stay in this small view, when really there's probably 10 or 15 ways to get to the same destination, but we don't even see it. It's like seeing the tree versus the whole forest, right? We're so closed-minded that we don't even take a step back to see that there's lots of other options.
True.
I learned this time management thing when I was writing Design Your Dream Life workbook, and I was like, I'm going to do it in my spare time. That didn't happen. Just like working out or anything, right? You're never thinking.
Didn't you hint you have 2 kids as well? So it's like you're a classic busy mom, right?
My spare time is making dinner and getting ready for bed, and so I had to put it in my calendar. I had to rearrange my priorities. I had to put it in so it had a slot, and then I would do it, because I knew once I had a plan, I would execute. But creating the plan as well, a lot of times we don't do, because we don't take a step back to really prioritize or think about what we want.
I tell people all the time, and you'll see a lot of influencers like yourself. Sometimes you got to have somebody literally walk you through the math, but it's like, guys, there's 24 hours in a day. If you're a healthy person, you're trying to bang out, let's say you're getting the full 8 hours. Boom. Okay. Do the math. 24 minus 8. All right. We're at 16. Let's say you work a classic 9-to-5 shift. Let's add in some commute time, long breaks. Let's subtract 9. Heck, let's go and take 10 hours out of that. Okay, now you got 6 hours left in the day. Okay, in your case, because I don't know, I don't have kids. I don't plan on having them. So my fiance and I were like, nah, we're good. So more power to you guys and powerful parenting. But how long does it take you to prep meals in the morning and the evening? I don't know. Can you give me a ballpark?
From 7 to 8, we're getting ready in the morning, I would say.
And is it another hour for dinner in the evening, I'm guessing too, right?
Yep.
So let's take another 2 hours off there. So now we're down to 4, okay? But also, while you're doing that, maybe you could have a headset in listening to a podcast or an audiobook,
yeah,
right?
There's always a way. Yeah.
Like here's the, I wanted us to get into that because it's like
driving to school. I'm constantly have my Bluetooth in.
Boom.
I'm driving around town. I'm in between appointments. I mean, I listen to several podcasts a day myself because I know that it's kind of my job to stay growing. So I have something to teach people.
I literally, I mean, how many favorite podcasts do you listen to? You have a podcast.
I do. Yeah. I have like 4 that I listen to consistently.
There you go. So I'm going into my Stitcher app right now. I have 12 marked here, but I'd say that I actually consistently weekly listen to probably 4. Or my top performers. And then when I'm just bored, I want to mix some other stuff in, I cycle in different ones. So, but there's 2 of those shows that I make sure I listen to every single episode. I don't miss it. So yeah, it's interesting. Everybody's got different things, but that's the point, is like how many thousands of hours you could be gaining.
Yeah.
In your
even
mindset.
my workouts, I'm constantly listening during my workouts as well. It's like I work out, yes, to work out, but also because I know that it's going to give me personal development time. And I mean, that's a part of my day, and come back filled, not just sweaty.
Well, I think that's part of your whole action planner, right? Yeah. Is that before you can necessarily take the massive action, you got to start taking the smaller actions. And I'm a huge supporter of personal and professional development. And yeah, I even dabbled in the network marketing world. I still have a side hustle in that. I don't do a ton with it because I've been doing it for 8 years and it's doing its thing. The point is though, I made the same mistake. I'm like, I don't have time to grow that. But actually, I can now say, I tell people all the time, I will thank the network marketing world and that company because it was like a personal and professional development platform that also had a business tied to it. Going in and seeing motivational, inspirational speakers giving you ways to start making the time in your life and the coaching. It was like, oh, I can build a business. So I can thank having a side hustle in a network marketing world to then fueling my fire to finally build my entrepreneurial businesses that I'm still doing now. It's like, oh, okay. But I had to start somewhere. I had to make the time. The time is there.
What I love about the network marketing world too is that it could really just be 15 minutes or an hour. But
it's not a lot.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be 12 hours a day. It really is just intentional time. Yeah. Because they say a 1% shift will take you in a completely new direction.
That's true.
So a half an hour a day, 15 minutes a day, an hour a day, whatever you got, when you're doing something intentional with that, you will be somewhere different in a year.
Well, and there are people like myself. Even though I know this game and I've been doing it for a while and I know the mindset stuff and I put in the work and I work with coaches but there's still people like maybe myself that we get impatient. When you're a high performer, I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. I'm actually going to bring up a complaint is that you get impatient with yourself once in a while. Like you want everything now, but then thanks to putting in the reps, you realize, okay, it's okay. Be patient with the process.
Yeah.
Follow a game plan.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a virtue.
Joy in the journey has been a skill I get to learn.
I like that. Enjoying the journey as well. True.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, I love where I am and I'm grateful, but I know where I'm going. I'm ambitious. So I'm harmonizing gratitude and vision has been a skill to learn because I don't want to wish now away because I'm so excited and I want to get there yesterday. So I'm trying to love, enjoy, but still be purposeful because
I love the fact you brought up the keyword gratitude and purposeful because I think up until last year, probably for a good 3 years up until last year, I made myself commit to this daily gratitude app. It was like a mini journal app. And the whole point was it got a little tedious from time to time, but in the end it was like, I didn't realize what I was doing for my daily mindset. It was just taking a few seconds to pause and appreciate what you have. And then being able to go back in that app and looking 6 months before what I was grateful for then, and look how much has happened, what has shifted in 6 months, let alone 12 months, let alone 2 years, right?
And that's a part of the Dream Life Daily Journal. The first part of each day is a gratitude game.
There we
Make
go.
it fun. It's not just necessarily a list or something different each day. Like one day we pretend like it's vacation day all day and you're just pretending like it's exactly what you want to do all day long. One day we pretend like it's your lucky day. Another day we talk about, relationships that you're grateful for. And so it's pretty fun, but it does a lot for your mindset. It does a lot for your energy levels. It sparks your reticular activating system to start seeing what is already
we got to pause
working.
on that. We got some fancy words getting
We
thrown
do,
out there
I
real
know.
quick. We can't breeze over that.
That's psychology talk right there.
Okay. Help our listeners. What are we digging on there?
All right. So the reticular activating system is a part of your brain that's basically like your filter, right?
Okay.
And we hear and we consume like 70,000 things throughout the day.
Wow.
And our brain can't handle all of that. So there's a filter that decides what's most important to you. So think about you're going to look for a car and all of a sudden you start seeing that car everywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
It was probably already there the whole time, but your brain didn't think it was important until you went driving it. And now you're looking at buying that car. Now your brain thinks it's important.
I noticed that when my friends buy cars.
You what?
I noticed that when I see friends get a new car.
Interesting.
Yeah, if they change a car, because especially if it's a close friend, now I notice that vehicle more.
Yeah, it's just a part of your world, and it was already there, but you didn't deem it important, so your brain didn't even notice it. And so we want to train our brain to notice what's working, to notice what's going well for you. And so when we start our day with a gratitude game, you kind of just you tell your mind, this is what I want you to see. This is the filter that's important to me. And what's amazing is that's what then you get.
So what do you think about the power of manifestation? Right? Because some people think it's woo-woo.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, it's on how you look at it. Now, because you have the psych background, there's some science to this. Let's bring some of that science in, because I think that's the first thing that popped in my head as you and I are talking right now. I'm like, I used to think it was the movie The Secret, the book The Secret. Yeah. I was like, what is this hokey crap? I mean, what am I watching? What am I listening to?
Yeah.
But my mindset was different then to where I am today. So things are seen and looked at differently. And I do understand manifestation in a more scientific way. So I'm intrigued to see how you would respond to that.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I was trained in cognitive behavioral thinking or therapy, right? So CBT, which is cognitive behavioral therapy, which is all about thinking. Your thinking impacts your behavior, which impacts your outer world, and and a lot of that is habitual. You have the your brain pathways that are just kind of
pathways.
They're just habits. And so a lot of times our thinking is habitual too. And so I was trained in that, and I taught people, think positive, it's good for you, and it will help you, and you'll be nicer. And
it's that easy.
It's good for everyone to be positive. What a good world we live in. But then I really dug deep into the science. And because it really does change the way your brain is wired, it's like if you think negative, depressing thoughts, then your brain physically changes. Like they can do a brain scan of your brain. It doesn't light up as much. It looks dead like a cactus. And then you could take a brain scan of somebody who's thinking positively and has, it's different things are wired, different pathways are triggered, and different hormones turn on and off. And all of these things are impacted by the way we choose to think. And we all have a choice, faith or fear, dead or alive, love or hate. We've got that choice consistently throughout the day, and it actually impacts your physical brain.
Okay.
And then because of that, because of the reticular activating system, because of the fact that like attracts like in this world, and you're kind of attracted to what you're thinking about, you become what you think about takes on a whole nother level. When you realize the quantum physics, the epigenetics, the neuroscience that are connected to our thought process.
Obviously, we're hinting, if you ever watched The Secret or read The Secret, the big tagline there is the law of attraction, which is directly tied to manifestation, and they all work hand in hand. But I'm glad you dug into that, because again, it might seem woo-woo at first, but think about it. If it is woo-woo, but it brings about a more positive result in your life, why not at least be open to it?
Well,
Right?
it works every time.
Yeah.
I mean, even the Bible talks about the power of the tongue and taking your thoughts captive. And there's a lot of things that I'm like, oh, I learned about this in church the whole time. I just never realized it was the same thing.
It's interesting. I mean, now I'm not a heavy church guy. I don't go at all. So, but I'm also a modern person, and I usually tell people, because here's the best part. I finished my degree at a Catholic university, by the way. So
Yeah,
it was,
it's everywhere.
yeah, it's everywhere. But the one thing I did appreciate about the one priest guy, whatever you call those guys, the white collars. Yeah, I'm very religious. The point was I appreciate it because he actually was one of the psychology professors, and he was very modern. And he said, listen, he's like, I truly believe when it comes to your mind and your mindset is that you don't have to go to church, a physical building, to be, and I don't talk about religion on this show at all, by the way, so we're just having fun with this, but he's like, you don't need to go to a physical church to feel like you have faith in something.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, some people, they need that. He said, but he's like, if you study the history of the physical structure of a church, he's like, it was built as a safe haven for people to go and practice. He's like, well, in the modern world, at least here in the USA, other countries, maybe not so much, but you pretty much have a pretty good flexibility to do what you see fit and practice as you see and believe in what you want. So he's like, you don't need to physically go to a building. He's like, if you want to do something else on your Sunday, then do that. He's like, so it was interesting hearing him say that. And I'm just tying that back to what we're talking about as far as the faith mindset and things of that nature, having faith in yourself and your abilities too.
Yeah. So. And, you know, I think at the end of the day, we all long for some sort of connection, no matter what that is. And I know I have a prayer closet in my bedroom downstairs, and it's just great. It's just a matter of creating space to listen to yourself, to allow things to bubble up, to journal, to get things out, grieve, you know, whatever we need to do. So then we can really be our best selves. And sometimes that means healing and letting go. Sometimes it means dreaming bigger and stepping into ourselves and being bold. And
see, I love what you just said there. I got to write it down. You created space in your life. Like even if you physically made a space that'll have a prayer closet, whatever you call it, but it's like, okay, well, you created a physical space for this, a safe place for you in your own home. But the same thing is applied to your brain and your mindset. Like your brain wants to establish new neural pathways. It wants to establish new connectivity, but it needs new experiences for that to happen. And that's why I'm loving we're geeking on this, because people are afraid to make mistakes. People are afraid to take the risks because maybe throughout their life, maybe they didn't always have the best go at things. So they've now drawn the negativity mindset, right? So they have to start reprogramming positive steps, positive reactions, positive changes, so they can start embracing change better and more effectively. I tell people all the time, the only reason why I make so many things happen now is because I had to start slowly before. Now the momentum I have today is only because I started taking those steps, making the space in my schedule, making the space in my life for the personal development, the professional development. I wasn't always traveling to events and conferences. I make the time. Yeah. So I'm intrigued to see how you want to connect that over to everything that you stand for. So,
well, you cannot be what you cannot see. And so if you're in a bubble and you're only hanging around, like we mentioned earlier, those 5 people, one exercise real quick that I have people do is I take all 7 areas of life and I have them rated on a scale of 1 to 10. 10 being like awesome, right? 1 being like not so much.
I already know how you're going to answer this, but what are some of those 7? See,
okay.
When I studied psychology, we called them, depending on who we were talking to, it was either 6 or it was 7 domains of life. So I'm intrigued to see how you're going to label these out, because I'm going to put them on the board. All
right. So I've got friendship, family, finances.
Wait, all together or all separate?
All separate. So those are 3. Friendship, family, finances, health, hobbies, business, and giving back. And so when
you put giving back in there. Thank you. So.
Yes. We all want to make a difference. I mean, honestly, I feel like that's fills most of us up consistently, is when we feel like we're adding value. But I ask people to rate their lives or rate their 7 areas on a scale of 1 to 10. And what I have found doing this all over the world is that most people would rate themselves an average of a 4. And what happens when they're a 4 is that most of the time their friends are a 4, their family's a 4. They think a 10 is like so far away, I don't even want to try. And they get comfortable at a 4. So then even dreaming bigger seems so weird. And so you can see how it's just easy to stay there because a 4 becomes normal. A 4 becomes comfortable. Think about lunch. I remember when I was working, lunch was also known as complain. Like that was what you did. Like who could complain the most?
True.
And you're just like in this world. And so when we talk about getting out of that world, we've got to go somewhere different. And that's where events come in, this immersion where you can really say, all right, what do I want to be like? And where do those people hang out? And then how can I go there? Because that's how I'm going to see that a 10 is possible. That is how I'm going to see that there are people living a 10. This is, where I'm going to see that because you can't be what you cannot see. If you don't ever see that, that's why I think most of us want to be like teachers and firemen when we grow up, because that's the only thing we see. And we got to get outside our normal.
It's funny because I was like, I became a firefighter, but I don't remember if I actually wanted to become a firefighter. It came years later, but it's interesting. But
half my friends became teachers, and I'm like, I think it's because that's the only job you know about.
Well, that, and I don't know, from a pure perspective, I think teachers are one of the most important professions on the planet, one of them. Mm-hmm. I think they're too structured. There's some archaic stuff that they're still teaching, but the processes can be improved upon. But I have many, many friends. I went to Penn State as well, and I have many friends that became teachers. Penn State turns out a lot of teachers, and most of them wanted to be able to necessarily give back, but pass on knowledge. They just liked sharing knowledge.
Well, and when you're impacted by a teacher, just like I was impacted at camp. Camp for me was a place where I really grew and connected and were outside my comfort zone. I became a camp counselor for 4 summers because I knew the power of camp. And I think that's one reason why I love experiential, like expos and events and getting outside and like taking people on a journey, because I know that impacted me so much. So yeah.
How long were you a counselor then?
During the summer. So 2 summers I was in Asheville, North Carolina, and I did home repair. So I was like doing drywall and roofing and painting houses. And then the 2 summers after that, I worked in New York City with New York City foster kids. And we would bus the kids from the city out 2 hours, and they'd like swim for the first time and see bugs. And
there you go.
It was really entertaining.
It's
they taught me a lot.
I grew up on a farm, so it was, yeah. And then when I got into the business world, I was in cities all the time, and people just don't get it. Like I bring it up on the show now. I'm like, I milked goats as a kid and drank raw goat's milk, and people are like, what? Really? Like when I was managing and coaching people in the corporate space, we would do team building days. Mm-hmm. And we were not in New York City, by the way. This was Allentown, Pennsylvania, hour north of Philadelphia, hour and a half west of New York City. And like my employees, I probably had probably half my team was of a Latin descent or Puerto Rican descent, some from the urban city of Allentown. And yeah, I would always ask everybody to share something unique about themselves. And then I would always wait. And then I'd drop that bomb, like farm kid turn, guy in a suit and stuff or whatever. And they're like, no way. I'm like, yeah. Why is that so hard to believe? It's funny how the cultural shifts are different for everybody. So it's interesting you got to experience that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. It was really special. We were like, these are called stars. And it was just really fun to experience it with them for the first time.
Oh my God. If you took a New York City kid.
Yes, I did.
And you took him to, the first time I went west, it was 2007. I got to hike the Havasupai tribal lands. They have their own section of canyons attached to the Grand Canyons where their main tribe is. So you got to hike down in through like basically a small version of the Grand Canyon. Uh-huh. And then I camped there. We were there for a week. And where the campsite was in the bottom of the canyon. So when the sun set, that sky lit up. And I was like, these are the brightest stars I've ever seen.
Yeah. I mean, even my 5-year-old, I think he saw a star for the first time when he was 4 because he like goes to bed at 7. We're like, I mean, it is. But it's true. When you don't live in that environment, you don't even know what's possible. So there is an element of getting outside and at least seeing what's possible before you decide, before you stay a 4, right? Like go see what a 10's like.
Well, and I love the scaling you did here because it's funny. I wrote yours on the board and I was like, okay, do I remember all 6? I can't remember exactly how we branded them, but I mean, these are the 6. So you focused on friendship, family, finances, health, hobbies, business, and giving back.
Uh-huh.
Mine were also friendship/relationships.
Yeah.
Because it is true, you can back this up, that human beings are meant to interact with other human beings. Like if you lock yourself away with a video game all the time, you are not going to be a mentally healthy person. It's just really bad.
True fact.
Family, loved ones, like having love in your life. This could also be tied into your love relationships, but because really family is love. It should be. And then your significant other, meaning fiance, future wife, husband, etc. Finance and money is a domain. Health and fitness was a domain. Spirituality, because it was a Catholic university. Spirituality, or in their case, they called it faith. Like having faith in something helps you have faith in yourself too. And then the growth, the mindset, the education piece. Like if you're not growing your mental game through education or continuing education or reading books and stuff like that, you got to exercise the brain. So I had 6. But we did the same thing. We said, listen, draw a 0 axis, and whether it's 1 through 10, 1 through 5, just rank them. And then the way the teacher explained it was, the professor, he said, listen, he's like, you can really judge your current state of stress based on this graph. He said most people, they're kind of run in the middle, but almost every single person is not going to be able to have all 6 or all 7 perfectly balanced across that 0 axis. He's like, it's a part of life. You're going to have times where when you're back in school, like I was an adult student, I was back in school on nights and weekends. He's like, so your education is a high focus right now with your career, because I was working my way through college. But he's like, for example, when was the last time you hung out with your family? Admittedly, my family was below the 0 axis. I had no romantic interest in my life at all. I was focused on my school, my career. So, but he said, he's like, here's the stress point. He's like, if you allow half of these domains to drop below the 0 axis, you're going to be a stressed out person. You got to at least try and maintain some of these. So it was interesting how he taught that. So I thought I'd share that with you. See what your thoughts were on that.
Yeah, I really like that. And I think a lot of times people will tell me that they're striving for balance. And what we've learned, right, is that balance isn't really.
It's a flow. Like you're going to flow, talk about flow states, right? You're going to flow in and out.
Sometimes this is important. Sometimes this is important. And that's okay.
Yeah. And I think part of his explanation of that was it's okay to have some of them drop. Yeah. He's like, but the other thing is if you allow more than half of these to drop below, he's like, what are you doing with your life? I mean, that's a big wake up call. And he said, that's where a lot of people don't realize it. And then it gets to that point. Yeah. And it's super, super dangerous. We were talking about obviously psychological health, the mental health. We were talking a lot about depression and the influence of the pharmaceutical industry and all this stuff. It's crazy. So
what I find is I really do believe that we all can live, like if we were to rate them 1 to 10, I think we all can live a 10. Like we all can really be living and thriving at a 10 in all areas at the same time. But that doesn't mean you have a goal in all areas at the same time. You know, usually you put your effort, your focus into one, you create momentum, you grow that. And that is, you know, important. And then it goes to another thing. And maybe it's your health for a season. And then you're got good health success habits here. And then you go focus somewhere else. And so you're ebbing and flowing.
In my coaching, I tell people all the time, get your health and fitness dialed in. That's got to be your top priority. I said, listen, if you had to pick that one domain that always stayed high, it's everything.
It bleeds into everything, doesn't it?
It does. I mean, how are you supposed to have the energy to write a book, write a journal, to go speak on stage, to be a mother?
So much brainstorming happens when get those endorphins going. Yeah. I've run a few marathons and I did a bodybuilding competition a few years ago, which really helped me learn nutrition. I
was going to ask you about that because you have an athletic build. And I was like, there's something background. There's something in your background there because I know a lot. I from the network marketing world, we had a lot of athletes, and I was like, For example, I cannot stand, no offense, ladies and gentlemen, I don't like the anorexic looking runway models. I don't understand what that is. Like, you need to have some muscle on you. Like, it's okay to be fit, like strong, be a strong woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And the bodybuilding competition, I mean, I've always worked out and I've been interested in that, but I feel like that really taught me how to eat, because before I was eating out. And so that taught me like how to cook nutritious food and eat whole foods and in moderation, and still have my treat every once in a while. But guess what? The habits are so strong now that it's not hard. And I'm still drinking like a gallon of water a day, and I'm still eating, my tons of vegetables, and I've just created habits. So now
you have the knowledge now because you put in the reps enough times. Like,
and then I don't have to
know if I
think
didn't
about it
hydrate enough because I get tired. Like, people don't understand, like, a lot of fatigue is usually, there's so much tied to something as simple as your hydration, people. Like, it's, she's dropping bombs for you. Like, take notes. Your hydration's so important. I can tell if I've been traveling a lot and I haven't hydrated properly, my fatigue sets in. I don't need another coffee. I do love coffee, but it is a diuretic. It is going to dehydrate you. So yes, try and get some clear water in there besides your black water. But I love the fact you're hitting on this, because everything is tied together. Everything is tied together.
Yeah.
So now, do you actually, here's a question. Are you tying some of that into your journal project?
Yeah. Okay. So the journal, there's two different sections of each day. So each day actually is 8 pages, because you want to have time and space to write. So we've got the gratitude game. Then we have a space for prayer, meditation, journaling, just like being.
Good. Mindset work.
Honestly, we could do the work, but if we're not being, like, if we're not at peace, if we don't really believe that we can do it, if we're grouchy and ornery, then like we could do the things and it's not going to get the results we're looking for. So we want to like be whole and well-rounded. And then we talk about your dream life goal. And that's basically when you pick one of your 7 areas and you pick the one that you want to focus on for the next 30 days. And you have a consistent dream life goal for the next 30 days. Someone asked me one time, do you have a new goal every day? And I was like, no. You want to be consistent, because that's that
would drive me crazy.
Yeah, consistent. And so then you have your dream life goal. You have affirmations, visualizations connected to that goal, because it goes from our head to our heart. We're not just going to say it, but we need to believe it. And then we go into our action items. So the dream life action items, what can I do for this goal today? But then I added dream relationship action and dream health action, because we are well-rounded.
Relationship action. Is like an equation? Like, it's like a flow?
Like, what am I going to do today to pour into my relationships? What am I going to do today to impact my health? It could be as simple as text my spouse, I love you, or schedule a date night with your child, or just like send love to relationships and just remind yourself, right, that that's an important piece of the equation. But I included health and relationships in there because I think that we really can be a well-rounded person. And when we have healthy relationships and a healthy body, we're going to get to our goal just that much faster. Because if you think about drama in someone's life, someone who's living in drama, someone who's living in chaos, someone who's living in confusion, it's typically surrounded about a relationship, their family, chaos, anger, lying, all of these things, unforgiveness, or health issues. They don't feel good. They've got sickness, disease, or taking all these pills, or tired. So we really can, when we focus on relationships and health and thrive in those areas, I think that will catapult us to improving on our dream life goal that much faster.
I love that. Yeah, you're hitting on all. I'm gonna go with 10 cylinders.
I know we totally need to hang out.
I know.
Speaking the same language.
There's some flow going here. I'm loving it.
It's good.
And again, I think that actually, because we are approaching towards the end of the show here on a time slot, but I think it's important to really hit on this point that you just made here, which is the relationships piece is key.
Yeah.
You don't have to disown your friends, your family, but they're not always going to be the most supportive depending on your endeavors. Mm-hmm. So getting out there and at least opening yourself up to connect with people outside of your normal inner circle, allow yourself to grow. And it's okay if some people that have been your inner circle for years don't get it. It's not your job to make them love everything that you do. Mm-hmm. You're going to do things that they don't get. right? So opening yourself to new relationships is going to be key, because that's the only thing that helped me grow too.
Yeah.
And I love the fact you're hitting on that. So.
Yeah. And we do, I think, especially when, I mean, I don't want to, like, if we're living in a 4, right? And we'd feel bad about leaving our friends who are still at a 4 or still complaining or still X, Y, and Z, when really we can't fix them. We can't change. They've got to decide it themselves. Just like you mentioned, your why is your own, like lighting your own fire. So live your best life and you'll inspire them to do the same. But honestly, it's up to them at the end of the day anyway.
It is. It's funny. It's an old mission statement from a company I used to work for, but I love it. I still use it to this day, is we are all personally and collectively accountable for our results. So in the end, you still have to be personally accountable for whatever you expect in your life. You can't blame anybody else for your results. Just step up and own it. I think that's one of the biggest things you can help in personal and professional growth is as soon as you accept the fact that, listen, whatever happened, yes, there's other people in the equation, but in the end, you are also in the equation. Mm-hmm. So if you want to change that result, then, and you can't expect them to change, you got to do it. So I can't stand when people are always passing the buck. But also, I mean, the collectively piece is if you're actually working in a team or you're creating a mastermind group. So there is that social responsibility that, again, maybe your inner circle of friends or your inner circle of family aren't willing to help you be accountable on that goal. And that's why you reach out to influencers like yourself, or you start following different podcast shows, or you find a new favorite author, because they're now putting the right information in your ears and in your head and helping establish and connect these new neural pathways to get you into a more positive mindset, to start bringing about more positive action, to then bring about the book or the movie or whatever your goals you want to create, right? Mm-hmm. Am I hitting on stuff right here?
Absolutely. I have mentors that I've never met before, but it's because I'm consuming everything that they put out because I want to keep up leveling.
Yeah.
And again, I can still hang out with family and friends and be relational with them. But that doesn't mean I'm learning from them. It doesn't mean that they're influencing me or my decisions.
Yeah, my fiance's never listened to my podcast show. It's okay. Yeah. She loves Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan apparently is amazing. Everybody loves Joe. It's okay. You know, I'm aspiring to reach Joe Rogan's popularity. So it's good to have goals. It's good to have
One time I sent my husband, I was like, you should really listen to this. And it was me and my stuff.
Oh, yeah? What did he say to that?
I know. He laughed. I don't know that he's like fully listened to he's not binge listening to me, but he hears me all the time. So, you know.
Well, and that's her point of view too. She doesn't like it when I talk about her on the show. And I was like, well, it's because I love you and you're a part of my life. So I was like, if you were talking to me 5 years ago, I didn't speak like this. I never was talking about love. I wasn't talking about vulnerability. None of that was happening. So there's been a lot of growth, in life. And I think that's part of, again, back to that psychology in the game. It's so cool to reflect back on where you were and where you are today. And that's why I love, like when I went to your site and I saw action and I saw a planner, I'm like, yeah, now we're talking. Because that's what people need to do in life. Stop being depressed or upset with where you're at right now. Because where you're at right now is already the past. Let's focus on what you can be doing in the future. And it's going to take time, patience, but also action, right?
1% change will take you somewhere completely different.
There you go. Apply that to your weights in the gym. So just 1%, guys. Just 1%. You don't need to stack a lot of plates on. Play the long game.
That's right.
Well, listen, I'm going to respect your time, and I got some travel. I got to head out of town tonight. So I have a very, very important task for you. I always ask my guest co-hosts who have rocked the mic today to close us out with some final words or a final message. But I mean, your brand pretty much sells itself. I already told people earlier, make sure you go to denisewalsh.com, check out the action planner, stay tuned for the journal that's coming. But also, I mean, is there an all-encompassing message over everything you're doing right now as we're recording here in 2018 you want to leave behind for the audience? Like if they forget everybody else, we shared so much amazing stuff tonight. So
yeah.
What do you got for us?
You know, at the end of the day, I believe we were all created for more, and we really all can live a Dream 10 life. And we can be content and ambitious. We can love where we are and know where we're going. So it's creating that space to tap in, dig deep, and then go get it. And And in a year, you can absolutely be in a different place. So why not start today?
I love that. And again, ladies and gentlemen, a year is not that much time.
It goes by so fast.
Seriously, she's rocking it right now. So listen, hang tight. I want to give you a proper goodbye off the air. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, DeniseWalsh.com. Check her out. Follow her everywhere. We're all over social media. But again, our goal of the show, we're here to fuel your health, your business, and your lifestyle. And your mindset. The psychology game is huge, and she nailed it today. So thanks for tuning in to another powerful Live the Fuel show. I'll talk to you again on the next episode. Thanks for tuning in. And again, we're here to fuel your health, your business, your lifestyle. Later, gang.